The urgent massacre in Iran is a death sentence for the Kremlin. Putin is next. Moscow is in mourning. The Z patriots are no longer hiding it. Chaos. The US has a solution to the Russian question on the table. The end has come for the martyrs. Russia is left without drones. Propagandists openly attack the top brass of the Russian Federation. This has never happened before. The West is kicking the stool out from under Putin. There will be no salvation. More on all this coming up. Watch until the end. Ukraine welcomes you today. Rinat Aslanov here with the latest events. Shock, a bloody massacre in Iran. This is a death sentence for Putin. Moscow is in mourning. A key ally of the axis of evil has been destroyed. And wild panic has broken out in the Kremlin. Propagandists and telegram channels are in shock, discussing how Israel and the US wiped out the Iranian regime to dust in just a few hours.
Why hasn't a single US ship sunk so far? That's my question. Is it that they don't have any decent missiles? They have everything. Are they afraid of escalation? Well, they'll be killed. They'll come for everyone now. That's all there is to it. Where are the statements from these people? Where is the much-vaunted IRGC? Where is Khamenei? A statement? They're all gone? That's it? This is a country falling apart before our eyes.
The elimination of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and the entire military leadership provoked a sharp reaction in Moscow. A key ally of the Russian Federation was knocked out of the game. The main propaganda mouthpieces are no longer hiding it. Russia is next. Right now, they admit that Moscow will share Iran's fate and there will be no salvation.
For us, first and foremost, there's one question that worries me. When will they come for us? Or have they already started? Talking about Iran is also talking about Russia. They will treat us the same way now, striking Russia even more harshly.
While the elite tremble for their own skins, the Z-Patriots have admitted their own powerlessness. Z-Patriot Maxim Kalashnikov is furious. The Russian strategy is deemed worthless against the backdrop of the West's triumph.
Yes, against all this, our multi-move, would-be geostrategists with their war in Ukraine look downright pathetic. Instead of decapitating the enemy and paralyzing his rear, to the dogs with it. Thousands of cruise missiles, ballistic missiles and drones ended up wasted, thrown to the wind. We warned you. Freezing and leaving the urban common folk without electricity. In Ukraine, wasting extremely expensive high-precision systems on bombing thousands of sheds where they assemble Ukrainian drones is pointless and harmful. Well, now Trump will show you up, you clever schemers.
Another rear blogger is sounding the alarm. The fall of Iran is a geopolitical catastrophe for the Russian Federation, after which will come the final solution to the Russian question.
Comrades, do you even realize that the fall of Iran is a catastrophe for us? They are taking away our second-to-last ally from under us, under the sweet scent of anchorage, getting into our underbelly, and then, with a high degree of probability, their plans include the final solution to the Russian question.
A historic collapse. In a year, Moscow has lost everything. Assad in Syria has been eliminated, Maduro in Venezuela has been arrested by US intelligence agencies. Now Iran has been wiped off the map of influence. Oh, evil is crumbling to dust right before our eyes. The head of the Center for Russian Studies, diplomat and former Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, Volodymyr Ritska, has delivered his verdict. The death of Iran is the end for the Russian Federation. The main arms supplier has been destroyed, and the story of the Shaheds has come to a definitive end.
It was Iran that, in the early stages of the war, helped Russia to the greatest extent possible, with its Shaheds, which were later modified and became the so-called Gerans. Moreover, the Shaheds became a symbol of Iranian-Russian friendship against Ukraine. Now this will be brought to an end. I hope that after the events currently unfolding in Iran, neither the current regime nor any future one will be able to restore real production or help Russia continue the war.
Betrayal of the year. Russia has cowardly abandoned Tehran. How can Moscow help if it is drowning in flames itself? While Putin trembles over his air defense systems, Ukrainian Flamingo and ballistics are already preparing to scorch Russian rear positions.
The question is, what exactly can Russia supply to Iran right now? Air defense systems? Then what will it use to protect its own territory? We can already see our friendly Flamingos flying toward Russia, and soon our friendly ballistic missiles will be on their way as well. Obviously, it needs to defend itself from this. If Russia gives its last resources to Iran, it will open the door to its own destruction.
Expert Igor Rytorovich confirmed that the so-called great power turned out to be an empty shell. Despite all the vows and agreements, Moscow abandoned Iran to die alone. The myth of a reliable partner has crumbled forever. Political strategist Oleg Pasternak also emphasized that the situation surrounding the war in the Middle East demonstrates the gradual decline of Putin's influence. Overall, Russia is increasingly losing its foreign policy positions, which directly damages its international image and level of support. The Kremlin's ability to influence international processes and make strategic decisions is steadily declining. The reason for this, as the expert notes, is that almost all of Russia's resources are being directed toward the war against Ukraine, depleting its own potential. Putin is next. There is panic in the bunker. The dictator is expecting a stab in the back after Khamenei's execution. Who among his inner circle has already prepared the noose? The countdown has begun. The tension in the bunker has reached its limit. The elimination of the Iranian leader was a clear signal for him. Russia is next in line for retribution. Watch for all the details.
Putin's weak spot has been found.
I don't even want to discuss such a possibility. I don't want to.
Well, they've already openly discussed it at the same time. Mr. Trump, Mr. Netanyahu.
I've heard all of that before, but honestly, I don't even want to begin to discuss it.
The lightning-fast overthrow of two Russian allies, Maduro and Khamenei, seriously frightened the Kremlin dictator.
Most of the people are already dead. We had a group in mind and they died. And now we have another group. Perhaps they're dead too, judging by the reports. So I think a third wave is coming.
Paranoid, Putin realizes that the same fate awaits him next.
Putin sows destruction around him, whether political or physical. That's the first thing. Second, well, it's like that game Battleship. There's just one square left to cross out. In
Moscow, they are trying to figure out how to respond further to Trump's unpredictable behavior.
If real patriotic reforms don't start in Russia now, the situation will simply become unpredictable. One by one, our allies are being systematically destroyed. It's clear who's next, and it's clear what negotiations with such an enemy mean.
Since Donald Trump returned to the White House, the Kremlin has avoided openly criticizing the US or its president. But now everyone is afraid for their own skin.
Here, of course, one can express deep disappointment over the fact that, against the backdrop of reports about significant progress in these negotiations, the situation still deteriorated into outright aggression.
Propagandists openly admit that the Russian Federation could be next after Iran.
I'm assessing the prospects of what will happen. I understand very well what the next problem will be. For us, first and foremost. There is one question that worries me. When will they come after us? Or have they already started? And we understand that. The conversation about Iran is, in part, a conversation about Russia as well. They will treat us the same way now, striking Russia even more harshly.
The murder undoubtedly touched on Putin's two deepest instincts. A deeply rooted paranoia about his own longevity and a drive for political survival, defined by achieving victory over Ukraine at any cost.
This time, Putin commented on the situation in the Middle East without cameras.
Please accept my deepest condolences regarding the murder of the Supreme Leader of the Islamic Republic, Ali Khamenei, and members of his family committed with a cynical disregard for all norms of human morality and international law. And
still notably, Putin did not name the countries behind the assassination.
Russians themselves perceive this as a situation where Putin has nothing to say, and this is perceived as a sign of glory. In Russia, the following is the case, and Vladimir Putin is next. And when they talk about Amadou and Khamenei, they see a portrait of Vladimir Putin.
In Russian circles, Khamenei's death prompted comparisons with the overthrow of another dictator, whom Putin also called a friend.
Dear Mr. President Gaddafi, our highly esteemed colleagues from Libya, and dear friends, allow me once again to extend a very warm and sincere welcome to you here in Moscow.
At that time, he was not afraid to speak with journalists and did not hide his emotions. In 2011, Gaddafi's death truly enraged Putin.
They killed him, and his corpse was shown on all the world's TV channels. It was impossible to watch without disgust.
Afterwards, he stated that he was against solving problems by military means, as was done in Libya.
The murder of a person is, in general, a terrible crime. An armed group that they are trying to solve internal political problems by armed force.
3 years later, the Kremlin cannibal would go to war in Donbass and then seek to occupy all of Ukraine with bombings and killings.
Agreements on this matter are being forced with the help of the armed forces to achieve this goal, namely demilitarization. We will not allow armed forces to exist in Ukraine that pose a threat from the perspective of the Russian Federation and its people. With
the years, Putin became more and more isolated from those around him. During the pandemic, he hid in a bunker, rarely appeared in public, and FSO officers had to quarantine. Now he has betrayed all his friends and comrades to whom he had promised help. And now the only thing left in the hands of the unstable butler is nuclear weapons.
The elimination of Putin is a absolutely legal B. This is a highly promising approach. It is the most cost-effective and straightforward way to bring a definitive end to the ongoing conflict in Ukraine.
Palace intrigues are intensifying. Venezuela and Iran have shown the level of infiltration of traitors into the inner circles of dictators. Putin is a coward, and he's afraid to carry out purges, again whispering in their ears that they could have been in the place of Iran and Venezuela.
My office was destroyed after an attack by the Israeli regime. I smell gas. I should leave this building.
If the head of the regime does not intend to arrange a transfer of power, then top officials and elite groups may start considering their own strategies for such a scenario.
Today, someone said, well, the president wants to do this very quickly. He'll get tired of it, but I won't get tired of it.
A US and Israeli military operation against Iran will definitely hit Russia and Putin. Everything is just beginning. Dictators leave office either for prison or the grave. Escape to Dubai, VIP Russians are in deep panic. Thousands of Russians found themselves trapped. Instead of the beach, there are rocket attacks. Instead of champagne, basements. A vacation has turned into a deadly quest. While Dubai is shaken, a private jet belonging to the fugitive Yanukovych arrived to help the golden youth and officials. Watch for all the details.
While Russian Geran drones attack infrastructure. Dubai, thousands of Russians are stranded in the Middle East. Even those who planned their route between Europe and Asia through the United Arab Emirates can't return home. This is a video from tourists in Malé in the Maldives. The airline is only serving UAE citizens. Russians are left out in the cold.
Only Dubai residents are being allowed on the flight. Even if, as you were told, there are seats left on the plane we won't be allowed on in any case. There's only one flight today. We've already been unable to leave here for 2 days. Yesterday's flight was cancelled, and today they're simply not letting us on the plane, even though there are seats available. And they're not telling us what to do. We're living at our own expense. No one is providing anything for us. They're kicking us out of the airport because we're blocking the way.
Tourists in Mauritius are facing the same problem. Hungry Russians have been left out on the street. Even the local diplomat from the embassy couldn't help.
A Russian family stranded on the island told Mesh that the airlines have stopped providing vouchers for accommodation and food, even for families with children. A representative of the Russian consulate who came to the airport managed to secure a plane for the Russians, but the Mauritian authorities refused to refuel the aircraft due to sanctions. Travelers were advised to rent accommodation at their own expense and to keep the receipts, which the airlines might someday reimburse.
Russians are calling out from all corners of the East Asia and even Africa. It turns out that even in the richest city in the world, where the concentration of millionaires and billionaires is higher than in New York, some are not above profiting from their misfortune.
Even comparing with this morning's prices, the price has literally doubled now. Maybe that's not the case in every hotel, but the fact remains. And yet there are still no available rooms in the hotel, so it's not even possible to rebook.
Ironically, the Emirates, which are being attacked by Russia's strategic partner Iran, have become a safe haven for Russian citizens, especially after the Russian invasion of Ukraine. People with passports bearing the double-headed eagle moved their businesses here and lived comfortably in luxury apartments nearby. Both opponents and supporters of the war.
After the war began, the Emirates became a premium refuge for the wealthy segment of Russian society, as well as a major business hub and a crucial tool for keeping the Russian-sanctioned economy afloat. and also a center where businesses relocated those for whom it was very important to publicly distance themselves from the sanctioned Putin's Russia, but not to stray too far from it. In Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and other Emirates, Russian-language kindergartens and schools have appeared, offering programs based on Russian standards. Clinics and entire medical centers with Russian-speaking staff have also emerged. And
now Dubai has turned into a golden cage. However, as it turns out, you can actually fly out of it even during the heaviest shelling, ballistic attacks, and drone strikes. Here, a local named Pavlik reports about a flight.
A Fly Dubai plane has departed from Fujairah Airport, readers report. Notably, the airline does not operate flights from this airport, and this departure does not appear on flight radar.
Business jets linked to Patrushev and even the fugitive former president of Ukraine, Yanukovych, rushed to rescue Russian VIPs. At least 11 aircraft with Russian registration have departed from airports in Oman and the United Arab Emirates. Seats on such flights are being sold for $20,000 each. Even planes owned by Roscosmos are making money on these golden evacuations from the area under attack by Iran.
One of the Bombardier Global 5000 business jets operated by Rusjet arrived in the city of Fujairah on March 3rd, and on the same day, this chartered plane, which had previously been used by the families of Russian officials and oligarchs, departed for Moscow. In 2022, the son of Deputy Prime Minister Denis Manturov flew on this plane several times. Evgeny with his wife Varvara, the daughter of businessman and State Duma Deputy Andrei Skok, and her with her sisters. This is according to a leak from the border service. The same plane was also used for trips to Turkey by the family of Ivan Streshinsky, a shareholder of Alisher Usmanov's USM holding.
The ones who aren't panicking about the war in the Middle East are Russian escorts.
I've never had so many men write to me at once. This is usually the low season, but now suddenly there's a rush. Ever since this whole thing started with the fires, sirens, and bombings, basically as soon as night falls, it all kicks off. In
the first days after rockets started exploding over the Emirates, the workers of the Dubai front launched an information campaign on their social media. Apparently, this unpatriotic stance by Russian women offended not only Putin. Deputy Milonov called for reminding these girls about traditional values upon their return to their homeland.
Prostitutes and mourners should be admitted and processed separately, and subsequently transported to a designated and secure quarantine zone. It could be organized somewhere in the area of the Krasnoyarsk Krai resort, on the islands of the Novosibirsk archipelago, for example, where over the course of 6 months, these women and men as well, by engaging in active, productive physical labor, will be able to get checked and cleanse themselves of the filth they acquired in certain Dubai camel shelters, and in this way return to us as normal people, not like this. You know, all those in mini skirts and with stage names for thousands of euros a night. Of course, Dubai trash. We definitely don't need that kind of people. And our task is to protect society from the possible dangerous viruses and diseases that these so-called Dubai escorts might bring with them.
He is terrified of flying. The dictator's golden train, Putin's mobile palace shocked the world. Hammam, spa, luxury built on blood. You have to see this with your own eyes. Why did Putin refuse to use an airplane? What is the dictator so afraid of? Watch. He is terrified of flying. I
am the captain of the vessel.
I make the decision. I will not fly.
Besides the fact that he could be arrested, there's another reason he refuses to use airplanes. There's no refueling. Putin's aircraft abroad.
Yes, we used to travel, maybe in general compartments, but not even in third class, just in a regular carriage.
That's why, since the end of 2021, the dictator switched from planes to a train that on the outside is almost indistinguishable from regular Russian railways trains. But this is an armored train, and its price, just think about it, is 7 billion rubles.
Your armor is not lower? BR4. It will protect against shots from a Kalashnikov assault rifle or a sniper rifle. Dragunova. The carriages are also equipped with loopholes for return fire.
A grey body, the classic red stripe, and special antennas on the carriages.
Our essential employees were quarantined specifically for the operation of this dedicated special train.
This person took those very photos of Putin's train for which he had to leave Russia forever.
There is a ghost train on the railways of our country. It is not listed in any schedules or in the Russian railways systems. Its windows are covered and the locomotives have no numbers or identifying marks. It rushes along like mad and all other scheduled trains make way for it. The Grand Service Express emblems are displayed on the sides of its carriages. The route signs always show the same route. Yevpatoria, St. Petersburg. But it is rumored that its appearance is actually just a decoy. The
train has no identification numbers on its locomotives. It always travels with its windows closed.
The Russian railway structure holds tenders year after year for the maintenance and repair of the train. And only in some contracts are the carriage numbers hidden. The carriages with these specific numbers were built under the supervision of the Federal Protective Service, FSO. And now they are serviced at closed special stations.
A whole network of secret railways was built for the bunker train.
Here, of course, special thanks go to the railway workers. Special thanks.
Journalists managed to discover 3 dead-end branches near the dictator's residences, in Valdai, Novo Ogaryovo, and Sochi. Putin's mistress Kabaeva also uses them.
It's sad. Well, it's just frightening to talk about it, but it's a fact.
Putin's special train used for secret trips is based at the depot at Moscow Kolonchevskaya station, where a closed terminal for VIPs operates. A total of 22 cars were built and equipped for the bunker train, but usually about 10 are used for trips.
A sports and wellness car. Behind the official name are a gym, a cosmetologist's office, and a hammam. The gym doesn't really look like a typical fitness center. There are no barbells here, but there is a tatami mat, an ab bench, a hyperextension machine, a step platform, machines for thigh muscles, and dumbbells weighing up to 8 kilograms. The adjacent room is the cosmetologist's office, although it's equipped not only with rejuvenation devices. Inside there is a ventilator, a defibrillator, and a patient monitor.
Armored trains were used by North Korean leaders and the Yugoslav dictator. And by one more person.
By Hitler, but unlike Putin, he only used reserve tracks so as not to disrupt the movement of regular trains.
We all know how much Putin likes to control the country's broadcasting network, so special televisions were installed for him on the train. And to prevent the signal from dropping out in tunnels, special equipment was made for the train. Special equipment.
A research institute developed special equipment so that the signal could be received through multiple channels. And now they plan to install this invention on presidential airplanes as well.
The new features currently being developed for Putin's secret train include a cinema car, a new compartment, and a bar for the security guards. And of course, what's a train without a restaurant? And naturally, there's also a lounge car. All this luxury isn't paid for by Putin out of his own pocket, but by the citizens of Russia.
A new level of quality, of services, additional opportunities for millions of people, for the country's economy, for business, tourism, our trade relations, and for the development of regions and cities.
While some are dying in the war in Ukraine for his imperial ambitions, others are deprived of basic comforts. There are many regions in Russia where there have never been any railway lines. People live cut off from civilization because in such places the situation with roads is very bad.
Vast and entire regions have been thrown into absolute chaos. And the ultimate goal is to force our own citizens to suffer, to make them suffer deeply.
Tuva and Altai are among the poorest regions in the country. And for a long time, the idea of building railway stations there was considered completely unrealistic. In the Republic of Tuva, the actual construction of a new railway finally commenced back in the year 2011. The project, costing 100 billion rubles, planned for 411 kilometers, but only 1 kilometer of rails was actually laid.
A symbolic nail. 12 years ago, President Putin hammered this nail into the track. Since then, not a single one of the 400 kilometers of road that was supposed to connect Tuva to the Trans-Siberian Railway has been built.
The Nenets autonomous Okrug, Kamchatka, and Chukotka are also left out.
That very same legendary 500 first construction project, Stalin's Transpolar Main Line.
But what turned out to be more necessary was the bridge across the Kerch Strait to make it easier to reach the residents in Crimea. The plan was to transport weapons and equipment for waging war against Ukraine. But these plans were thwarted by Ukrainian defenders. The scheme is the same as with Mariupol. Here, the first thing they started rebuilding was the train station. This is how they show in the occupied territories that Russia is there forever. And then they simply forget about it.
Right now, there are 18,000 of us homeless people.
What matters is not the people, but the size of the country, military logistics, and their own comfort and security. And what do you think about the latest events? Share your opinion in the comments, like the video, and stay up to date with the main news. There's more to come.